reasons for ineffective implementation of ISO 9001. I would now like to discuss the most common reasons and issues in ineffective implementation of ISO 9001. It's important for companies to know that the transition programs to 2015 will work only if the existing program is effectively implemented. If the existing program is not effective, then the quality managers or the leadership of organizations will have to first also work on improving the quality of the quality system so that the transition will add a lot of value to the firm. The first issue is about the intention why the company is certified to ISO 9001 and what was the intention behind it. In many cases, I've seen that the main intention of ISO 9000 certification is marketing and not really the quality assurance and improvement. Therefore, the top management only looks at the ISO 9000 program if they have to write some marketing proposals or put it on their advertisement material and establish the credibility for their companies. They sometimes are not really concerned about the details and issues raised by the quality department, and the quality assurance department and program do not get the high priority in companies. Therefore, it is important for the top management to understand that their intention of ISO 9001 implementation should be to strengthen their existing quality assurance and improvement programs and then give priority to this function. Number 2, documentation for auditors and not for the process owners. Similarly, in other companies, I've seen that people make a lot of documents. Even many think that making documentation and controlling documentation is a crucial part of quality assurance. Well, documentation helps quality assurance, but by itself, it's not quality assurance. Therefore, documentation should be used in the QMS program. And what does that mean? This means that the process owners use the SOPs, the manuals, and the procedures of operations. If they want to use those SOPs, then they have to provide training also based on those SOPs, so that people should be trained. So the second purpose of documentation is to provide training to the workers, technicians, engineers, and the professionals. And the third main purpose of documentation is for auditors to audit it effectively. How many auditors have really read and understood the documentations, the manuals, and then they really audit based on the manuals? So it's important for auditors also to go through the manuals of all the processes in their companies and then do the audit based on these validated procedures. The reason I'm saying validated is in many cases I've seen the documentation which are the routine practices written down in the document and they call it SOPs or standard operating procedures. Well, standard operating procedure, a procedure can only become standard operating procedure if it is properly validated by the experts or by the specialists. There are so many procedures I've seen written by different people who are not specialists of the processes, and neither their process were validated. So there's a lot of tendency that those processes will not be very effective. One of the most common statement which has misled many people is the ISO is say what you do and do what you say, and whatever you do should be written. Well, it should not be just written, but it should be validated and then written. So this is the implicit meaning of this standard. So please make sure all your documentation are actually alive and they are used by the process owners. They are used for the training purposes, and they are used by the auditors for audit purposes. Third one is not focusing on product and service standards and just focusing on ISO 9001. Well, as you know, ISO 9001 is a quality management system standard. It means within the management system, it requires the product or service standards. So if you don't have any proper standards for your products and services, the problem will be the low quality product or the low standard product will be standardized and will be sold by you if it is not particularly if it's not a contractual obligation by your customers. So those people who are selling their appliances or products in the market and it's not based on any contractual obligations, then they normally feel problem, and people who are customers usually get confused when they see their low standard product but the companies are certified to ISO 9001. So please make sure you do not forget that your product and service standards are linked, or they are properly designed or properly adopted standards from reliable sources or properly benchmarked. Fourth is system driven management approach versus personnel driven instructions. If the first priority of the head of departments and senior manager is to make sure that the right procedure is followed at the right level by the right people, then it is system driven. But if manuals, instructions, and procedures are only left in drawers and they are not used, and only verbal instructions are followed, which may be part of the manuals or may not be part of the manuals, then it is not system driven. So please make sure that the first priority is to ensure that all the SOPs which are authentic in the organizations are regularly followed by the managers and head of departments. Fifth is outcome focused rather than certification result driven. This means that there are so many companies who get satisfied when they are certified, and they think that certification by itself will raise their performance. Well, within the quality management system, there are various KPIs or key performance indicators to be established by you. If you do not make them competitive, then maybe the certification audit will be there, but your performance indicators may not be compatible with your competitors. So, just getting certifications without considering the KPIs and the levels and benchmarking with your competitors, you may not get the full results. Sixth is overemphasis on quality documentation rather than quality culture. This is another problem. I've seen so many companies focusing on preparing the documentation rather than day-to-day practices of their people. Well, a document is a document, not an action. Unless it is converted into actions, this documentation is useless. So the focus of the whole QMS should be on quality culture rather than just making the beautiful documentation. Number 7, quality as cosmetics or slogans versus quality as belief. Well, there are so many posters, so many policies hanging around in some companies claiming a lot of customer loyalties and satisfactions and leaderships and mission and vision, and these types of statements are written all over their walls through different posters and so on, including their websites, including their visiting cards and so forth. But at times we find that quality is not a genuine belief. Eighth is emphasis on quality in production and de-emphasis on quality in services. This is especially true for manufacturing and production environment. Most of the companies focus around quality in production departments, and they do not pay much attention, or rather they pay little attention on the service departments which are providing services to the production. Well, in that case, how can production produce the best part when its support departments are not functioning well? So there is always a need to prepare effective quality assurance program, their KPIs, their SOPs, and their activities of problem solving and their process improvement activities should also be included in addition to the production department. Ninth, quality as second priority versus quality as primary priority. That is, quality first. Check out, is quality first your real intention in your company? Otherwise, please work hard in your company and bring everyone on this intention or this policy that the first is the quality and then is quantity or the production of services. And the 10th is not using quality and management tools which are required in the implementation of many requirements or clauses. There are so many people who are not using many quality tools which are although not mentioned but they are actually required in the implementation of ISO 9001. ISO 9001 does not take name of any quality tool, but what it requires is using of some tools. For example, statistical process control, benchmarking, balance scorecard, Six Sigma, Kaizen, Pokayoke. All these tools are not independent of quality management system, but they fit in some clauses. So please make sure that simply knowing the ISO clauses is not sufficient. You have to learn many quality tools to make sure how those clauses will be made active. Without using these tools, many quality requirements cannot be fulfilled. Thank you.